As you say, President Biden is hitting the road, Anne-Marie. He's hitting the road today to discuss what he says are the benefits of his $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. Listen to this.
Help is here, and hope is here, in real and tangible ways.
Like you say, Anne-Marie, it's not just the president who's traveling. The vice president, Kamala Harris, second gentleman Doug Emhoff, they are headed to Colorado to meet with small business owners that will benefit from the American Rescue Plan. So today's visits come as this long-awaited stimulus checks begin hitting more and more bank accounts. So for more on this, let us bring in CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang. Weijia, you spoke to a single mom who is still waiting for her stimulus check. What does she plan to do with the money once she gets it?
Yeah, Vlad, I spoke to Renee Copeland of Philadelphia. She is a waitress who says that she is checking her bank account every single moment of the day and looking to see if she's getting a check in the mail because she is running out of money. And, you know, like so many Americans, she is relying on this money not to boost the economy. Remember, these are stimulus checks, but asked yesterday how President Biden wants Americans to spend it, the White House press secretary said they realize that everyone's going to use it in a different way because the needs are different. But this particular mom of four tells me that this is all going to go toward survival. It's not about spending. It's not about, you know, helping small businesses, even though she would like to, but she needs to put food on the table. She needs to make sure there's a roof over their heads. Really, all of her money, she says, will go to bare necessities.
It means I'm not in the fire anymore. I can step back from feeling like I'm being engulfed in financial flames. It's a time to catch my breath. Okay. You know, just a little step ahead, a little something to get me to the next point.
And as you guys mentioned, this package is extremely popular, right? Several polls, including our CBS News poll that was just released out a few days ago, show that the majority of Americans support it. But we have learned exclusively, starting today, the Republican National Committee is launching a counter-messaging campaign on the airwaves, on the ground, on the phone, on social media, to attack the package, saying that it doesn't actually help Americans in the long run because of how much debt is going to be involved. And Republicans will also say that the money's not targeted toward pandemic relief, bringing up, you know, something that we've heard since the previous administration as an example that billions of dollars are going to state and local jurisdictions to bail them out. Allegedly, rather than to really target people who need the money. But Democrats would say that, look, this is not just an immediate problem. The direct relief is one thing, but because of what we've seen for the past year, the economy has taken a hit that needs long-term help. And these cities and local jurisdictions need some sort of support to be able to recover so that there is not this scar at the end of the pandemic that they can't recover from. So, you know, they will continue to try to make their case. But as we've been talking about, so will the Biden administration, going to 6 states this week alone to promote the bill and really explain how it's going to help people get through this virus.
Yeah, and so of course, you know, you can't just throw money at a problem. It has to be targeted. We saw there was criticism with the previous stimulus packages where there were really sort of wealthy companies getting big checks from the government. Hopefully that's different this time around. And the Biden administration appointed Gene Sperling to oversee the rollout of this plan. So who is this guy and what is his role supposed to be?
So Gene Sperling is a longtime economic policy advisor. He worked under the Obama administration. He has tons of experience basically doing what he is doing now, which is being the manager of this nearly $2 trillion plan. So he's going to implement it. He's going to make sure that the agencies have the amounts that they need and that the money gets out as quickly as possible and that it is going to the right places. Because again, when you're talking about out this much money, there will likely be some missteps and some spending that will need to be audited. And that's another opportunity for Republicans who are certainly eyeing this very carefully to help make their case that this package is not actually going where the president claims it is. So Gene Sperling is going to be overseeing this massive effort and coordinating to make sure the funds go where they're supposed to be. It's very similar to what then Vice President Biden did under the Obama administration when we saw a different stimulus package. He was in charge of implementing it, which is what Mr. Sterling will be doing too.
Weijia, let's talk about immigration and what's happening at the U.S.-Mexico border. The pace of unaccompanied minors legally crossing the U.S. is now being treated as a humanitarian crisis. There was some very powerful reporting from Mara Mireya Villarreal, who is at the U.S.-Mexico border, where she actually interviewed young children and accompanied in some cases by their family members, but most often unaccompanied young children trying to get into the United States. We've seen a group of House Republicans visiting the border yesterday. They blamed President Biden for loosening immigration restrictions that were implemented by President Trump. Are you hearing that the president plans to visit the border? And what are the latest efforts by the administration to address the overcrowding at these facilities? You've seen, as you no doubt are aware, Weijia, that Republicans have pointed to the overcrowding in these facilities and has targeted the press by saying, look, under President Trump, you called them children in cages. Now you're calling them facilities. It's hypocritical. So what is happening there? How is the Biden administration planning on moving these children out of these facilities into a place that is safer for them?
Well, that is the biggest challenge right now, because as we've mentioned before, there's just not enough bed space to handle all of the unaccompanied children who are coming to the border. And the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, just released a new statement this morning in which he says he understands that, that 72-hour time frame in which the kids are supposed to be transferred to a long-term shelter is not being met in some cases because of the challenges they face. And as you see here, he also took time to blame the Trump administration, saying that it completely dismantled the asylum system. The system was gutted, facilities were closed, and they cruelly expelled young children into the hands of traffickers. We have had to rebuild the entire system, including the policies and procedures required to administer the asylum laws that Congress passed long ago. And so, top administration officials will be the first to say, yes, our policy has changed with regard to children. Unlike under the Trump administration, we are not going to turn them away. We are going to take them in and take care of them because that is the humane thing to do. But again, the problem is being able to do that. And so Secretary Mayorkas laid out several steps, including opening new facilities in Arizona and Texas. They are working with FEMA to provide that immediate relief and looking at ways to expedite the process so the children don't have to spend time in those facilities at all, that they can go straight to the longer term shelters, where they're supposed to spend time waiting for family members or to be processed. But again, there's no time stamp on this because they're still assessing where these places can open and whether they have the resources to get them up and running. And so it's going to take some time. The administration is urging patience, but at the same time, reiterating the message that they are not going to stop opening their arms to these kids, some as young as 6 years old, Vlad and Anne-Marie, according to this new statement. 6 and 7-year-olds are coming to the border without their parents, hoping for a better situation than they left. And so that is what the administration is using as their North Star in all of their public statements, that these are children. They're not allowing, adult migrants to come in, to be detained and to wait out their cases. Those adults are going to Mexico unless they are with a family. We are talking about children here. And so I think, we cannot stress that point enough because, as we've heard from FEMA, as we've heard from other officials, regardless of immigration policies, the law is to take care of these young people when they come to our border.
Yeah, and if you're a parent, you know how stressful it is just to be apart from your child for a few hours if you don't know where they are. So that should give people an idea of the level of desperation that a parent is feeling when they, let their child go in the hopes of us getting them to a safer destination. So listen, before we let you go, though, I got to ask you about another topic that we've been dealing with here in the U.S. Disturbing incidents involving Asian Americans still coming in. There's a nonprofit group. It's called Stop AAPI. It says it's received more than 3,000 reports of hate incidents against Asian Americans from March 2020 to February 2021. And I should say the whole reason that group was created is because no one across the country was keeping track of these sorts of incidents. So they're doing it now. We know the president has condemned these attacks. He did so in his first primetime address to the nation. What more is the administration doing, though?
Well, the White House says they are reviewing other potential policy changes, but this is really going to have to come from the Department of Justice. So whether President Biden directs the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, to do more is TBD, but he has certainly taken a very firm stance about condemning not only the attacks, but also the racist language that many believe led to the attacks. And so as an example, up on Capitol Hill, lawmakers have introduced legislation that would direct the Attorney General to create a brand new position, and this person would handle and track and review and help prosecute these crimes specifically. And so you're right, these numbers continue to soar. And just a few minutes ago, we got their brand new figure, which is nearly 4,000 incidents since the start of the pandemic. And so we have to see what concrete steps President Biden can actually take, but he is certainly committed to doing more. And, it takes time because you have to implement these policies. But I think that the really important thing that the president did differently from the presidential podium was, make it clear that these are our fellow Americans who are being attacked. And we've talked about this a lot from the very beginning, that there is a lot of misinformation about Asian Americans related to the virus, and that is leading to misplaced anger and misplaced blame. So I think, it's important that the president is using the most powerful bully pulpit in the world to remind people of who these victims are. They are people who are just trying to live their lives, and in many cases, trying to help others out of the pandemic.
Weijia Jiang, thank you very much, Weijia, as always. Excellent reporting. We appreciate it.
Thank you.